I would like to call tonight's meeting to order. Let the record show that today is Wednesday, June 4th, and it is now 6:10 p.m. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our Maui Island Community Meeting. As usual, we're always so happy to be home. I am anyway, to be home with our own beneficiaries from our AINA. And mahalo nui for taking the time to come out to meet with us this evening. We invite you to share your thoughts with us at the proper time. And we do have some wonderful speakers that's prepared to do presentations this evening. Before we begin, I'd like to ask our board secretary to take the role of the trustees.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka, ill. Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kapuo.
Trustee Alapa. Ill. Trustee Galuteria is excused. Trustee Lindsay.
For you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Trustee Souza is excused. Trustee Waihe'e is excused. Chair Kaikahele.
Present.
You have 5 present trustees. You have quorum.
Mahalo. Thank you, Lehua. I'm going to ask each trustee to introduce themselves, their staff, and whatever few words they want to say. Starting with Trustee Akaka.
Aloha no. I'm Kalia Kaka and I'm honored to serve as the Oha Oahu trustee. And also joining me this evening is my kokua, Nathan Takeuchi, part of the Akaka team, as well as my ohana, my husband there and our baby waving her hands, saying aloha to everybody. I wanted to say mahalo to all of you for joining us this evening, to take time out of your day to share with us. And we're so thankful that you're joining us so that we can hear the needs and concerns of our Maui ohana here, our Maui community, to hear what's working, maybe where we can collaborate more, and stay on the pulse of what's good to know about what's happening on this mokupuni. I also wanted to mahalo our trustee of Maui, Chair Emerita, Hulu Lindsay, the team from administration to her office, and Chair Kahele, everyone for making the site visits today possible and for making this meeting possible for all of us. And I mahalo also those that are joining us online as well, tuning in. But I'm so thankful to join you all this evening as it's always nice to be able to visit our different communities so that we can have this opportunity to kuka kuka. And I also want to say mahalo to our Mayor Bisin for joining us this evening. Thank you so much. But mahalo everyone for joining us. We look forward to hearing your manao. Aloha no.
Trustee Akina?
Thank you, Chair. Aloha mai kako, just delighted to be with you here again on the island of Maui. There's no place like Maui, Maui no Ka'oi. But during the last couple of years, there has been no other place in Hawaii that has shown the kind of resilient aloha that has been necessary with all that you have gone through. And our hearts go out to you. We're with you in the rebuilding of Lahaina and the challenges on this island that so many face just to make a living. And if there's anything we can do, let us know. I'm honored that you're here tonight. We want to hear your mana'o. We look forward to you coming forward and sharing. We need to hear your mana'o. And we want to thank you for being Maui strong. You're an example to the entire state. I'd like to introduce my trustee aide, Karina Lee, and look forward to interacting with all of you.
Chair Kahele?
Aloha ahi ahi kako. Great to see everyone. My name is Kai Kahele, and I represent Hawaii Island as Hawaii Island's trustee. It's great to be back here on Maui, especially here at Maui College. So mahalo to Louis, Hokoana, and the entire team here at Maui College that made this happen for us. We sincerely appreciate it. Echo the same comments of Trustee Akina, Maui no Ka'oi, and we're excited to be here. And so we really are looking forward to this community meeting tonight, a chance to hear from all of you, and a chance for you to express to us what you need, if I can just be blunt, how the Office of Hawaiian Affairs can help our beneficiaries, not just here on Maui, but also throughout Maui County. And so, we are going to Molokai and we are going to Lanai. So we are very interested in what Maui needs. And so please share that with us tonight and be as frank as possible. So mahalo for having us.
Kako, represented for the islands of Molokai and Lanai. So proud to be here. Of course, beautiful place as usual, and I'm happy to see those who are able to come and join us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I can't wait to hear from you folks. I ditto everything all our trustees said so far. So wonderful again. Thank you so much for being here this evening. My support team, I have one of them here this evening, and that's my secretary, Summer Soares, where she's back there. There you are, Summer. Yeah, you guys can. Thank you. She worked hard. Thank you, Summer.
Thank you, trustee. I'd like to introduce my staff as well. From Oahu, Kanani Iaya. And Pohailani Kialoha. Again, mahalo for taking the time to come visit us tonight and share with us your concerns, your celebrations. We'd like to hear you tell us good things. And if you get bad things, you can tell us that too. That's why we're here. Nice to see all the friendly faces. So happy to see you. Trokisis to all of you. Mahalo. Joining us tonight is our Kapohana Stacy Ferreira. Stacy, will you please introduce yourself and any of our administrative staff supporting us here this evening?
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha ahi ahi kako. I'm Stacy Ferreira, and I'm so happy to be here on Maui. My ohana, the Opunuis, Likua, and Ehu ohana represent strong here in Maui. So it's always good to come home to where I have a lot of beautiful people that call this place home. Joining us tonight from our administration, we have Kehao Pu'u, COO. Royce Campbell, Operations Manager. Daniel Santos, IT Systems Engineer. Roy Newton, our Beneficiary Service Agent here on Maui, holding it down. Jason Lees, our Multimedia Designer. Kelly Swallow, Communication Strategist. Mahalo team.
First up on our agenda this evening, we'd like to call on you, Stacy, to share the status of OHA activities. Stacy?
Mahalo, Chair. You know, there's a lot that's happening here in Maui and certainly statewide. And there's just not enough that we could spend the whole night just talking about all of the great things that are happening here in Maui. When you came in, there were a lot of different documents that Uncle Roy he made available for you folks. One of those is the Island Community Report, the executive summary. I hope you picked it up when you walked in. I'm going to briefly talk about one section in that Maui report, and it's going to be about our OHA funding activities for Maui. But there's many other things that we talk about in this executive summary in terms of the policy, advocacy, compliance work that we're doing, all of the focus areas with Mana'i Mauliola and how we're trying to address housing, economic resilience, health outcomes, and education here in Maui and across the Pai'aina. So our OHA funding activities for Maui, I want to let you know that OHA has dispersed about $6 million in funds to 13 grantees providing services on Maui that range from supporting educational services for at-promise youth and ohana, funding for Aina-based Olelo Hawaii programming in Maui and ohana, supporting the establishment of a culturally relevant Native Hawaiian owner-builder program for Native Hawaiians on Hawaiian homelands. We also are supporting vocational career pathways for Native Hawaiian youth. And of the 13 OHA grantees servicing Maui beneficiaries, 4 of them are exclusive to Maui. So of the 13 grantees that I just at a high level talked about $5.9 million are being dispersed. And 4 of these grantees, like I said, are exclusively only serving Maui ohana. OHA offers a variety of personal and business loans designed to support the financial well-being of Native Hawaiians. And these loans can be used for purposes such as consolidating debt, covering educational expenses, making home improvements, or addressing personal emergencies. OHA has dispersed $1.4 million in loan funds to 45 borrowers on Maui through the Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund program. And active loans include 10 improvement home loans and 25 debt consolidations and 10 business loans. Now, earlier today, Trustee Galutieri and we attended the Shaw Conference on Oahu. And it was a great conference. You know, there were, I want to say over 200 in attendance. It was a great showing. And, you know, one of the opportunities that Trustee Galutieri and I had was to talk about the work that OHA is doing on behalf of our Hawaiian homesteaders. And I think that OHA has an opportunity to communicate a lot more about all of the good work that's happening, because I don't think that many know all of the good work. But I did want to share one that's happening here on Maui in partnership with Molokai. And I had referenced it. It's called the Native Hawaiian Owner Builder Program. And it's a pilot. And OHA is partnering with Hawaii Community Lending. And we've put $398,000 towards this pilot program. So if you'll just indulge me, I'm going to share a little bit about what's happening with that pilot. So as we know, many homesteaders want to get on their land. They don't want to have to wait for DHHL to put in the infrastructure or wait for a planned community to come up. They want to get on their land, and so much so that they're willing to themselves. However, building on Hawaiian homestead, because the federal restrictions, it's not, I mean, there are some additional things that have to happen in order for homes to be built. So this Native Hawaiian Owner Builder Program really addresses those homesteaders who want to get on Aina as soon as possible and start building their own homes. So what the money is going to provide, or is already providing, is there are 58 potential lessees on the Naiva Homestead agricultural lots in Molokai. And what we're doing is we're putting $100,000 towards training and certifications for Native Hawaiian business owner contractors here on Maui to be able to fly over to Molokai to help those Naiva homesteaders build their homes. But like I said, there's requirements that these contractors need to be able to get before they can proceed with assisting these homesteaders on Molokai. Now, the beautiful part about this program is the $100,000 provides a bonding that DHHL requires. So each of those homesteaders, so there are 13 that have been pre-qualified out of the 58. So that's great, we're making progress. And $20,000 will be provided to the Native Hawaiian contractor to help bond them to ensure that the project will go. And that's one of the requirements that DHHL has. So that goes a long way of ensuring that this project gets off the ground. Another really amazing part of this program, because it is a pilot, what they want to do is they're taking the 13 families that have already gone through the program and have been pre-qualified, but certainly there are 58 that are eligible. They get them home loan ready. So they take them through the financial literacy part, they take them through the home loan process, they take them through the permitting process, they take them through the construction process. So part of the grant money is a technical advisor that walks our homesteaders through every part of that building process. What they're also doing is they're going to be creating a training guide. So the pilot will help to inform this training guide that will be given to other homesteaders who, in the future, if they want to build their own home, will have a guidebook on how to proceed with getting their homes built. So I just wanted to share, this is just one example of an amazing grant program that OHA is funding in wanting to get our homesteaders on Aina. And it's a beautiful partnership. It's actually a 2-for-1, if you ask me, right? We're really lifting up, raising up our Native Hawaiian business owners here on Maui and making sure that those resources are accessible to our homesteaders on Molokai. So mahalo for allowing me time to share that.
Mahalo, Stacy. Next on our agenda this evening, we're so honored to have the Honorable Mayor Bisin that will share a few words with us this evening. Thank you again, Mayor, for giving us your time.
Aloha ahi ahi kako.
Aloha.
Chair Kahele, Maui trustee Lindsay, and of course our trustees, Akaka, Kina, Alapa. Thank you for keeping them all A's. That was easy for remember to go down. Ohana, thank you so much, and for referencing your family, Ohana here in Maui. Velina mai pakahi apau. Mahalo no kahele ana mai. Thank you so much for all coming out to visit with us here in Maui. I just wanted to say mahalo for the invitation to speak this evening. I'm here today to affirm the county's commitment to working with OHA to serve our Native Hawaiian beneficiaries and all of our communities across Maui. I'm so sorry, I apologize for having my back facing to Ohana here. I apologize. So for our community engagement and Rebuild Lahaina plan, I wanted to share with you, there's actually a public meeting going on right now in Lahaina, as we do every first Wednesday of the month. The third Wednesday, we do it by Zoom. So most of our team is over there right now presenting to our Ohana in Lahaina. But our meetings that we have coming up on June 25th and 26th, more Manao on the future of, and specifically Front Street and Lahaina's historic core. We're going to discuss the roadway design, pedestrian and bike access, our parking, our transit, and of course, as important to everyone, our cultural identity. The Front Street railing, sidewalk, and seawall repair project is undergoing right now. And that's from Dickinson to Lahaina Luna and from Baker to Papalawa. The work includes sidewalk reconstruction, railing replacement, tree planting, seawall boulder recovery. Goodfellow Brothers is continuing to do that work for us through July 2026, working every day, 7 a.m. to 5:30, weekdays, I should say. Again, I also wanted to note a side note, since the completion of the removal of all the old pilings, the sand has been coming back in areas where there was no previous shoreline, and wildlife is also returning, including our monk seals to Lahaina. Our transitioning from the temporary disposal site to the permanent debris site is also occurring this month. Thing I wanted to announce, because we've been trying to get that word out to all of the public. We're going to move debris from Olowalu, as we had promised, to Central Maui, the landfill. This location was selected with input from our community that prioritized health, safety, and of course, cultural sensitivity. But the numbers are, we're going to move about 50 trucks a day, 4 routes, 4 rounds each. We're trying to move 400,000 tons of debris. Now that's 3 football fields, 5 stories high. That's what we're trying to move. Now the good news is once we get off of Honoapi'ilani and off Ku'ihilani Highway, coming back, like say, towards the airport, Waiko Road is a road that we just opened only for this project, and it's the old Cane Hall roads. And it's going to be moving trucks from Waiko all the way up to Omaopio, Pulehu, the area where our Central Maui landfill is, those roads. So luckily they'll only have to cross what we all refer to as Mokulele, but now is referred to as Veterans Highway, and then up when they get to the closer. So that's important because there will be impacts on our traffic. But again, this is going to allow us to complete the promise we made to move things out of Olowalu back to there. So we're asking all of our motorists, visitors, as well as our residents to be mindful of the traffic and stay informed about what's happening on our roads. We expect all of that to be completed by the end of this year. It'll be about 5 months. I just wanted to inform you, we have 395 building permits that have been issued as of now. There are another 327 that are in process. And if you make your way to Lahaina, like you folks did last year when you came, you'll see 19 homes completed, people living back in their homes on properties. Again, there are also about 260 homes, I should mention, that are currently under construction in some phase. And we could probably use those contractors that are going to Molokai to help with our homes out in Lahaina as well. All of our water and sewer has been restored. Again, just to update you since last year, the big thing I want to talk about, and I think my good friend Ke'aumoku Kapu is gonna touch on this in more detail, is the Royal Complex planning, also known as Moku'ula, Mokuhinia. The community engagement's already started. There will be more community meetings to talk about the planning efforts. They're gonna center around honoring this historic and culturally significant site, so much so that the governor last August turned over the state's portion of the land to the county. And so we have every intention to honor that and to return that. And I say that because there's so much cultural and historical significance that, again, we're gonna use all of our cultural knowledge, our practitioners, our lineal descendants, and all the community members who have been involved in this project along. And I'm eager to hear Ke'aumoku's report on this as well. As you know, we're facing a housing crisis, and over 21% of our housing is now being used as short-term rentals on this island. That drastically reduces the availability of homes for our local people. Our families are overcrowded, multi-generational homes are growing out of necessity. Our local workers are being forced to leave our island. On Monday, which is June 9th, Bill 9 will be heard by the County Council at 10 a.m. in council chambers. Bill 9 is a bill that was submitted to the council by the administration to phase out transit vacation rentals that are currently being operated in apartment zone districts to return housing to the long-term use that it was intended. This reinforces the original intent of the zoning laws that existed when those buildings and structures were built. You know, this is a issue that is very controversial. I understand that, and we've listened to both sides give us their input on this. I just want to say very clearly the purpose of this is not to divide our community. In fact, it's to preserve our community. And that's what we're working from. The UHERO economic data submitted a report, which is very helpful, but it doesn't capture the social impact or the lived reality of the folks. And again, in fairness to UHERO, they were not asked to do that. They were asked just for the economic impact, and that's all they reported on. But there's much more to the story than just the economic impact. How do you measure the impact of families that are leaving? So we want to make sure that we make our case, state our case to the council on starting Monday. So anyone who's interested in joining us on that day is invited to do so. Whatever position you take, whatever side you take, please come and let your voices be heard before the council. This is just one of the several steps we're taking to address our housing crisis. We're also pursuing affordable housing programs, tax incentives, deed restrictions, and of course, infrastructure investments. Can't build homes without infrastructure. We're streamlining our permitting. We're working to create new permanent housing options. There are pathways for those folks who want to own temporary vacation rentals. You can rezone your apartment zone area to hotel. You just got to go before the planning commission and ask them to do that. Of course, you can own TVRs in legal places. There are 14,000 on Maui. And we're talking about 6,000 that we're trying to impact. So there's well over 8,000 other TVRs that operate legally here on the island. So again, we're trying to be fair to all sides, try to benefit the most while hurting the least if we have to hurt any. We're also trying to balance tourism with our residents' needs. You know, we continue to welcome visitors. Obviously, that's clear, but not at the expense of our local people. And so we're not here to displace our local families. This legislation is not anti-tourism. This legislation is pro-community, pro-resident. And so hopefully everybody can see that that's clearly what the intention of this legislation is. Protecting our sense of place and housing for our people has to be our #1 priority. So again, it's going to be heard on Monday. Anyone can testify. Probably should have provided this to your team beforehand, but www.mauicounty.us/agendas is where you can also submit written comments or Zoom. It's www.mauicounty.us/agendas. And again, we encourage all our beneficiaries and our residents to make their voices heard. Again, mahalo for coming to Maui. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you and for all the leadership you folks have provided to our Native Hawaiian community, not just Maui, but throughout our state. And I appreciate all the help you folks have given to Maui in the past and all the generosity of OHA. While much of our focus remains on Lahaina has already been touched on, we know that the needs of our people extend across every island throughout our state. And we're mindful of that too. So for the part you've been setting aside for us, we're very grateful. Again, we're committed to work alongside all of you to uplift our families, protect our aina, preserve the cultural foundations that has binded us together and will continue to bind us together. Mahalo. I know there are no questions, so mahalo very much for having me. If there are questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you so much,
Mahalo,
Mayor.
mahalo, mahalo.
Before I call up the next speaker, Lehua, do we have anyone to speak on this agenda item?
No one has signed up to speak on this next item.
Our next speaker is a respected member of his community and an advocate for our lahui. Here to speak is Keomoku Kapu from Lahaina.
No, aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
First of all, before I get into the logistics of things, I gave everybody a makana. A lot of the songs came from Maui and one brief background of who we are, basically, so we can cut to the chase. Naikani on Maui Inc. Is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were founded in 2012, and we never realized that our whole life escalated to becoming the cultural monitor for the Lahaina disaster. So For one, me and my wife probably had about 9 days off for a year and 9 months. We're hoping that maybe with the help of OHA, you guys can get us to Japan. Nah, I'm just joking. But I think what is really important is we didn't expect to take on such a big responsibility. Naya County on Maui held 5 federal contracts. And once those federal contracts were done from phase one, our job was to literally lighten the load for the archaeologists when they came in on the second phase. So I think one of the great benefits of being a part of this recovery efforts is for us, we hired 80 monitors, families that lost their homes, and also lost family members. So it was a great opportunity for us to really engage, to make sure that our responsibilities was to protect the integrity of our town, especially dealing with a lot of contractors that never ever worked in Hawaii. We had contractors that came from all over the mainland. And one of the benefits of that was we were required under FEMA and the Corps of Engineers, which was mandatory to make sure that the cultural sensitivity training was done by Naya County on Maui in partnership with Aina Archaeology, the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. There was a bunch of us. And I think the greatest thing about it was to make sure that everybody that came to work in our town, they knew the depth of the history. And I want to maybe bring up kind of one example. Bring up the map. Nadine, you can help. This is one of the maps that we use to kind of educate a lot of the people that come to Lahaina for the first time. Because Hawaii is totally different. When you're looking at, especially in the debris removal on the second phase, when they start doing the debris removal, they take everything out, not just everything on the surface. The second phase is also to lift up a lot of the concrete slabs and all that. So that picture that you see in front of you shows where the cultural corridor is. Where Mokohinia Pond is Kamehameha Third School. That one was kind of a big challenge when we started doing the debris removal over there. And why it's such a big challenge, because that's the complex of Kauikeuli, Kamehameha III. So when we did the initial cleanup in that area, as soon as they pulled the concrete slabs, there was EV scattered all over the place. There were 50 isolated finds. So in tandem with FEMA and the Corps of Engineers, Lahaina made an effort to make sure that everything that was found in Lahaina stays in Lahaina. So what we were able to do was we're able to work with the county, and mahalo for the county providing the area that we needed to do a preservation site for all the EV that came about in Kamehameha Third School. And on the site, there's actually a burial tomb that we placed to make sure that we become the ones that are the caretakers and curators, just in case for long-term. Mahalo Mayor Beeson for expediting to making sure that this area would be long-term protected, as well as, yeah, come face the camera. To good at my models. To make sure that it was a temporary site for now, but eventually when we did the burial site component archaeological data recovery plan, look at me, all these acronyms and stuff. The BSC ADRP plan is what they call it, but this is not the first time for us. Puamana was the first time when we interred a lot of burials. So lo and behold, what this whole thing boiled down to, if you look at the map actually shows the original land commission awards of these property royal patents. So when contractors come in and they do the initial cleanup on the TMK only, everything is on the surface. Once they start going down 3 inches to 6 inches, they have to do soil sampling. If the sampling comes up pilau, then they gotta do initial scraping. start getting into the land commission on one area, that's when you start to find out. So that becomes a problem for us because the owners today, they only own the TMK, so there's a lot of questions to figure out, okay, once they go to the depth and they start digging up a lot of the old artifacts like Ulamaika, Poi Pounders, all those kinds of things, who's responsible of that? So thanks for a charter that started in 2019, the Department of the county for expediting through that charter amendment, different department under now. Now, what basically is gonna happen is what we're hearing. Mahalo kia pua to the county for accepting the responsibilities of the transfer of an executive order of Moku'ula as well as Kamemeiki Park. That's under the county now, under the Department of Maui. A lot of these other adjoining properties like Kameme Third, we're hoping that Governor Green would also initiate something, maybe possibly turning the executive order to the county as well under now EV, so we can make determinations. It's happening. Oh, did he sign it already? Okay, great. So now I think what's really beneficial about that is we have a lot of, for us, we spearhead a lot of the discussions with Nakupono Lahaina advisory. So periodically, every day, we're looking at ways on how we can make sure that we are part of the solution. Library lawn, hopefully that's another area where we can start expediting ways on how we can bring our nonprofit organizations together to engage in some way. So it's not just us, Naikani or Maui, but the other nonprofit organization. There's only two in our town. The other one is Huiova Akaulua. I know there's other nonprofits out there, but we're the two, how would you say, the last of the Mohegans in the town. For years, we've been advocating to make sure the preservation and protection of our historic properties are priority in our mission statement. We've been consistent from 2012 all the way until today. We started this effort back with Akoni Akana in 1997. And we're just consistent and we're going on. Right now, the biggest thing that came about was Naikani o Maui received some funding from Standing Rock, which enabled us to build 16 solar trailers. And the reason why that's important is because our grid is not 100% operational yet. So we completed 6 trailers. We get 10 more trailers coming from the Big Island. Once those trailers come, we're going to retrofit those trailers. And those trailers are going to the contractors that are on the field. We got 2 trailers out there already. One went to Punene for Hanale Koliato. He's providing food for the community. So we're hoping that we can get the hub established in Lahaina so we can also be that conduit to make sure that we can provide food and necessities for our families. This is going to be a long while. We just took on an additional contract. So now we have a total of 7 contracts. The last contract we took on is the USACE, the Army Corps of Engineers project, this company known as Kina Ole, and they're coming in and they're doing micro homes in certain properties. Right now, we have the current infrastructure installation site. We have 9 micro homes being placed. Our job is to monitor when they start doing the trench lines and the installation of the plumbing, electricity gonna be overhead, and water. Water is not 100% yet in a lot of areas. Power is only certain areas there is power, and that's the reason why we felt that it was important for us to engage in a way that we're doing. The solar trailer that we're providing has the capacity of 27,000 kilowatts, which you can run a whole house. So 6 trailers are done, 10 more we need to do. And we were also petitioned by some private organizations on whether or not we needed any more funds to maybe possibly build more solar trailers. So we're just being proactive. We're just being whatever we need to for the benefit of our community. And I'm hoping that, you know, as things go, I know the mayor mentioned about, you know, they brought in some consultants from different parts of the mainland, architectural landscape designers, building designers, botanists. I mean, we're looking at a large amount of Kuleana in town. We're 100% engaged every day. It's funny that, you know, when we look back on all the work that we've done from the beginning, we've learned a lot. We learned that in order to make sure that things go right, we gotta be involved. And I was kind of optimistical in the beginning because when the FEMA came in and the Corps of Engineers came in and the military came in, and it's like our town just turned into some real heavy, chaotic kind of stuff. But if we didn't engage and we didn't get involved, then who would have? We had a lot of people coming from all over the place trying to take on the cultural responsibilities of our town. One of the most important things in the culture sensitivity, it kind of gave me a good opportunity to interrogate everybody that came to work in our town. And I seriously say those things because we've been hit by a lot of people from coming from all over the mainland with a lot of arrogance. And the arrogance had a lot to do with, if you never worked in Hawaii before, then you don't know the lay of the land. And sometimes we had to really, you know, some operators, when you tell them they gotta go slow, they kind of dig in too fast. So I'm the one that has to be the dirty guy to tell him, get off your machine, go time him out in the corner. He gotta sit over there until he learned his lesson, then he can jump back in the machine. But these are the kind of things that actually occurred in our town. If we're not the ones at the forefront to make sure that the character and identity of our town is well protected, to make sure that, and I'm pretty sure Hulu received one of my complaint letters against the Army Corps of Engineers, well enough FEMA. But sometimes when things happen, you know, they say that you got to watch because you're dealing with federal contracts and you can get sued. Well, if that's the case, and we got to do our due diligence to make sure we protect our county in every way, then so it be. If that's the way we got to go to make sure that people are reminded, yeah, then that's kind of the risk that I need to take. Being responsible of 80 employees was one of the greatest things I think I can look back on to say that we provided something for our community well enough, you know, giving some kind of hope in our community, knowing that, you know, with these money that they receive, they can help the families build their homes back. So I just want to come just open-heartedly with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs that as things go, we need the support from you guys, especially when it comes to articulating what's going to happen in the historic corridor, especially for Moku'ulang. We need to be really patient. So I gave you guys some information on Naikani Maui's background. There's a lot of information in here. Right now, we're preparing to do a culture sensitivity training with all the GMs of Kaanapali Hotel. Yeah. And we're consistently doing culture sensitivity training still today. And I think one of the greatest things about that is people starting to learn, starting to be more patient. They're not rushing like how they did in the first stage. Took on Dawson, we took on AEPAC, which is an architectural design contract. We took ECC, which was a big contract. They ran 30 crews a day, nonstop, 7 days a week, 6:30 5 o'clock in the evening. So our lives have changed a lot. Even my hair, the color of my hair will change too. But that's one of the things that need to happen in order for us to gain a lot more wisdom. I'm hoping that when these things are being articulated, especially when it comes to the royal compound, especially when it comes to these areas that should be transferred over, or should also be a strong participant in that. To give some kind of backing with our community to make sure that whatever happens within that cultural area, the pride and esteem comes back to our people. Why? Because our town disappeared. The integrity of our town, the history of the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii literally disappeared. It was only in the form of an 18 by 24 plaque. Now is the time that we can rectify the wrongs and making sure that we be a part of the economics, a part of grooming our younger generations to even look more anxiously forward to take on the responsibility in a place once known as the capital of tourism. We need to change that narrative. We need to change all those things. We're hoping that Hui of Akaulua can also be a strong advocate in our community, but they need help too. We need help. All of us does. Our community needs help. We get engaging with our community to make sure that they can have some hope. Right now, things are a little bit frustrated because we deal with a lot of the community a lot. But I'm hoping that wherever this goes from this point on, that we can honestly say we did our due diligence. You know, I love that Prado over there. That decent. And I hope he runs again because we need him at the forefront. We need him every step of the way. And I think we all should engage to help Beeson and help his cabinet, especially as well as the county as well. We're dealing with some heavy, heavy issues. So I'm hoping that all of you take into heart and to strong consideration. I thought I was going to do on PowerPoint, but I figure if I did that, we're going to be stuck over here for another hour or so. But I mahalo all of you for your time and my contact. Any more information that you guys want from us, feel free to. As for us, we're still on the field. I think we get another 10 years more. And we're not about to give up. We're going to move forward best as we can for the sake and the benefit of our lahui. Mahalo. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Keamoku.
Thank you so much, Keomoku, and for all the work that you folks are doing for our Lahaina community. Mahalo piha. Okay, now we're going to move on to Lisa Carrillo, Vice President, Executive Residential Loan Officer, that will be briefing us on the access to the home ownership program that we have at OHA. It's called the AHO program. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this agenda item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for being here.
Oh, it's nice. Thank you for inviting me here. Aloha, everyone. Aloha, trustees, chair, Mayor Bisson. Again, I'm Lisa Carrillo with American Savings Bank. My teammate Byron Yap is also here. So at American Savings, we have been long working 100 years trying to make dreams possible. Okay, yes. How do I, okay, perfect. So how do we do that? So OHA designed a program called AHO, Access to Home Ownership, which goes in line with making dreams possible. So one of the hardest things, besides everything else we're dealing with Maui, as we heard, is how do we get our native Hawaiians into homes? So personally, my dad was half Hawaiian. My mom was quarter Hawaiian.
Unfortunately, he passed right before Leali'i was coming on, so that doesn't leave me with any opportunity of purchasing Hawaiian homelands. And there are many of us who fall into that particular spot. So how do we help Native Hawaiians purchase homes outside of Hawaiian homelands? So one of the ways to do it is with OHA funding, partnering with American Savings. So the AHO program is designed to reduce the barriers for homeownership for Native Hawaiians. When you're purchasing a home, especially, and we've seen especially in the last 4 to 5 years, right before COVID, we saw the prices of all our homes not just double, almost triple. And so that makes it impossible because our pay did not triple, but the cost of our homes did triple. So when you're looking to purchase a home, if you cannot put 20% down, then you pay, unfortunately, to your lender, you pay mortgage insurance because that is to secure us if for some reason you go into default. But the possibility of coming up with 20% for $1 million home is almost near impossible. So as a first-time home buyer, we do allow first-time home buyers to put 3% down. But when they put 3% down, they obviously have to pay mortgage insurance in order to insure the bank, which can result in a monthly payment between $200 to $300 to $500, $600 or more, especially with the prices of homes. So OHA's program, AHO, Access to Homeownership, and American Savings partnered to incorporate how do we eliminate mortgage insurance. So we can't lower the prices. Unfortunately, we can't lower the interest rates as much as we would love to, but we can eliminate the mortgage insurance with the OHA funds. So a first-time home buyer can purchase 3% down, and the AHO funds are used to back the bank so that we can, with that 17%, we can have the mortgage insurance totally eliminated. So your monthly payment it's not included. The $300 to $500 payment is gone. The benefit of this is the loan amount is still based on your down payment. So it's still based on the 3% down, but the monthly mortgage insurance is eliminated. So it makes it a little bit more affordable to purchase a home. The benefit of this program that I see in all my experience is we need down payment assistance programs, but we see down payment assistance programs where it does lower the loan amount. Unfortunately, a lot of times those funds are limited as well, and they put restrictions on properties. So if you sell or you refinance, you have to pay that down payment assistance back. So you're refinancing to put yourself in a better situation, but you also have to increase your loan to pay that down payment back. With the AHO funds, the biggest benefit is that the homeowner does not have to pay the funds back to OHA because it's not attached to the property. It doesn't put a restriction on the property. The funds are held with American Savings. If the homeowner refinances or they sell the property, we release the funds back to OHA, and OHA is able to help another family stay in Hawaii. You know, I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I'm from Lahaina, actually. Born and raised in Hawaii. The first time I saw snow, because I don't like to travel, the first time I saw snow, I was 50 years old. My children didn't. My children saw snow before I saw snow. My children said, "How do you not see snow?" I said, when you grow up in Lahaina and you're born and raised here and you don't like to fly, you don't get to see a lot of snow. This past Christmas, I went to Florida because my son-in-law is in the military and now he's based in Florida. So for the first time, I stayed in an area outside of Hawaii for more than 2 weeks. They purchased a home in Florida, 1,700 square feet, less than 5 years old, for $330,000. Gas was $2.89. And I went to the grocery store and we bought at least half a wagon of groceries. And the bill was $52. So when I walked out, I looked at the bill and my daughter was worried. She went, "Did we buy too much?" I told her, "I think they didn't charge us, but we're so used to the expense of living here that we don't realize how cheap it is." So for the first time, sadly, for the first time, I realized in 50 plus years of being here, this is why our children, our friends, our aunties, our uncles, even our grandparents are moving away because that's the expense of living outside of Hawaii. So the AHO program, we are so excited to be a part of it because it's opening up the doors for people to stay here so they don't need to move to Florida. One of my experience is I was walking to Aldi and I was in the parking lot and somebody let me go. So I went, the guy stuck finger at me and I went, "Wait, what is it?" And my daughter went, "Mom, you can't just shock at anybody. This is not Hawaii." So I thought, oh, okay. So the difference I saw as well is there's no aloha. You can't walk out in the grocery store, talk to anybody because there's no aloha. So more than anything, we need to keep locals. We need to keep Native Hawaiians here in Hawaii. The AHO program has been amazing. We have helped 7 homeowners in contract. One has already closed, who are using the AHO program, and it's made it that much more affordable for them to acquire a home. They're not going to move. They're going to live here in Hawaii. We still have almost $900,000 left of the program, so we can still help a number of people. Hopefully, we can get more funding so we can help even more people so they can stay here in Hawaii. So what is the eligibility of the AHO program? You have to be Native Hawaiian. You have to be a Hawaii resident, a first-time home buyer, and it has to be your principal residence, which is what will keep all of the local people here in Hawaii. The program itself is very easy. 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, not even 5. 1, call OHA and do the inquiry. 2, wait to get the referral letter from OHA. 3, call Byron or myself so you can get pre-qualified. And 4, look for a home, acquire a home, and move into the home and remain in Hawaii for generations to come. So this is just a quick example of a home, a conventional loan that when you put 3% down, the monthly mortgage insurance that's attached to that property. And if you were to use the AHO program, where you have the funding from AHO and the monthly mortgage insurance is totally eliminated. So just in this example, for a $500,000, of course, probably a condominium. So you see the association amount of $600 on there as well. It's a $400 to $500 difference every month that we're saving homeowners. So I thank you for the program. The program is amazing. We're seeing it work. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to Byron or myself at American Savings. Thank you.
Mahalo, Lisa. I just wanted to clarify that step number 1, where it says inquiry. What we are asking anybody who is interested in the AHO program, when you call OHA, we're going to ask you if you have a Hawaiian registry card. If you don't have one, that is a requirement for us to pre-qualify you to get the letter to then take over to American Savings Bank. And we want to encourage, even if you're not applying for the AHO program, to please register with our Hawaiian Registry program so that we can ensure that not only AHO will be available for you, but there's going to be many other programs and services that we are going to ask the Hawaiian Registry card to be presented as a requirement. So mahalo.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you.
Miley Shannon.
Aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
Mahalo trustees. Today, I wanted to speak on behalf of this program because I have applied for this program. Although I have found that is very, the processes is not as easy as it seems. And it's quite confusing, actually. So as you said, that you apply and then you have to make sure that you are part of the Hawaii Registry Program, which I did. It does not state that you have to complete an intake program. After 3 calls, I finally was told I had to take an intake form, which I did so. After that, it took 3 weeks for me to get the so-called letter that says I have the registry. And then it's proceeded to say that I would receive a letter from the AHO program saying that I was part of it, which I have to date not. And it's been over 30 days. So in actuality, I receive more information from American Savings Bank from Brian folks than I do from that office. So the couple of things I would like to say is that although it helps us with the down payment, it does not help us to reduce the payment. So even if the 17% is going directly to the bank and we only have to put 3% up, it keeps that rate very high. So as you saw earlier when she showed the payment plan, it doesn't reduce the payments, right? So for a lot of Hawaiians, that's really hard to do so with what's going on. And as Lori said, when you're looking at $500,000, you are looking at a condominium on Maui, right? So when the next thing I wanted to say is it's not stated on the purchase contract. So it's very confusing to the other agents when you're speaking to them about, hey, I'm part of this program and this is what's going to happen. Altogether, we'll have 20% down, but they will only see 3% on the contract. So it makes it quite confusing for the other agent, the real estate agent that you're dealing with. The next thing is, I believe it's a little backwards in regards to the processes. I would think that maybe in the future, the processes would be to be pre-qualified prior, so then they understand what they're working with and what the parameters are. There's no information and at all that states there is a maximum. It doesn't state where you are as a number in the program. It doesn't state, and I have no indicators of where I am. I've been told that I'm the next in line for Maui, but then I show up today and ASB is telling me my name was not released on the next 10 people. So it's quite confusing. It would be nice that it was a better, more explained process, or that it was listed on the site. The site gives you information to initially ask about it, but it does not give you a case by case or what it would be if it was an ideal situation, right? I'm not saying any situation is ideal. I think the last thing I wanted to say is, although I'm glad that we're grateful that there are 7 people and 1 that is going through this program. Although I think for the offices and especially for this, if Maui it should have stated so, with all those indicators of all those 381 applications that you have for this program, and 1.5 was just to help maybe 10 or 15 people. The program should have said that the pilot project was for Maui so that people would be in line. Right now, we have 381 applicants. I'm uncertain of where I sit. I appreciate your time. Mahalo.
Yeah. Mahalo for that feedback. So just so that you know, we are taking down all of the things that you just shared. And so as a pilot, there's going to be a learning curve. So this feedback is extremely critical for us to improve. So mahalo for that.
Yes, we definitely will take your concerns into consideration and see how we can make it better and less confusing. Mahalo for taking the time to share that with us.
I'm going to ask if Stacy can clarify more in terms of what was mentioned on pilot program and it being just Maui, but that not being the case, but so you can elaborate more on how it's Aina wide.
Correct.
Thank
You're
you.
right, trustee Akaka. It is, AHO is rolled out statewide.
So it's not just a focus on Maui. And I think Lisa also stated that we've already started awarding. I think we have contracts that are closing on Oahu, Maui. So that large number that you saw that we accepted as applicants, will we take Kuna advocate? And at this time, I like to call on them. I don't know who wants to go first. Do you want to go together? Or what's your plan?
We have 3 people signed up to testify on this item.
Thank you,
We have,
Ms. Lehua.
we have 3 people that wanted to speak on this item.
Before or after?
Before, they were gonna speak and then Johanna was gonna do the presentation.
Aloha. My name is Johanna Kamanu. I live in Waihe'e Valley, Maui. I am here with my ears and my Connie. And these 2 people have been with me through all the experiences I've had when it comes to the EV. And since the issue or the request tonight was about recommendations for next step for EV, I wanted to go through a few of the things that I experienced while I was on the Burial Council. I was on there for 2 terms, and one of the first early issues that came up is that picture. That's a barge loaded with sand. And in the foreground on the asphalt, you'll see the size of the trucks that are bringing the sand to the barge. Can you imagine? We ended up looking for their destination, following 15 trucks loaded with sand, running through Wailuku down to the harbor. The permit said that I don't know what to call them, the party who owned the permit could take 300,000 cubic yards of sand. You know how much that ends up being? Mountains of sand being taken out of Maui Lani. That was just for Maui Lani Safeway. Okay, before I get too involved with the nitty gritty, there were issues. And this presentation is about how we set legal precedents. It's about religious persecution. I can't even read my own stuff. It's about racial discrimination and cultural survival. That's what we were fighting on the Burial Council. It didn't seem like that at the time. We thought it was just another position, a place where we can go and vent our concerns over the issues, but it was more than that. We got to ask, how can Hawaiian rights bridge traditional law, Hawaiian law, with contemporary legal framework? That's the big question, right? We don't want to be ruled by Western law. We want our own laws, our kanawai. We can't get to the kanawai right now unless we work through modern construct, their laws. And it's okay. I think it's a good idea. It helps us get back to what we want. This topic, the more we looked at it and talk about it amongst ourselves, the EV protectors, this topic requires 2 things: cultural sensitivity and legal precision. And the thing that we were lacking the most, you can turn to the next slide. The thing that we were lacking the most in this is the legal precision. This is what Maui Lani used to look like. Of course, you know, today there's Safeway and there's a lot of residential communities. I'd like to move to this one. Nope, go back. This is Safeway Maui Lani. And the woman in red is Kanahele. Is that right? Kalekini. Kalekini. And she came to Puli with us at our vigil, the first vigil we had for the EV. We had realized by this time that understanding the law wasn't giving us the resolution we wanted. We had to find another source. And the other source we finally fell upon was our spiritual source. As a spiritual people, that is one of the greatest strengths that we have. And we started to do that. First thing we did was hold vigils. A lot of things came up because of that, but Maui Lani is a place where, or Safeway is a place where we learned how to recognize ways in which we can fight back. And one was to talk about the history of the place. And that was what we did with the vigil. The other one was to talk about the genealogy of the place. And people acknowledged who they were in relationship to the land. We talked about, well, I shouldn't say we talked about, we talked to the kupuna and introduced ourselves. And we told them why we were there. And we told them what we wanted to do. Because on that very first vigil, one of the first things we learned was that they wanted to know why. Why take the time to do this all now? I can't be sure that it's the same for everybody, but some people hear that call and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's been that way for us. This was, 2008. And it's become a way of life for us to consider all of this. Anyway, before I get into this, I'd like to go up to two more slides. One more, right there. This is one of the major considerations we had in this development. 2/3 of this development, about 2/3 of the development was completed. When it first started, they only found 5 EV kupuna. But when they came to the last third, there was a total, the last time I looked, it was 186 EV that were found just in that one section. The other thing about this is there's a pool. And early on, I saw that pool before they worked on it. By the time the archaeologist came in to make the report, she said the pool had been taken down by 30 feet. And how do you take 30 feet when the EV sat on top of the pool? There's such a thing as curating. And so the department, Shifty, felt it was okay to curate the EV somewhere else while they dig away the sand that was under it and then put it back on top where it should have been. If that EV had stayed there, they wouldn't have been able to move that sand. So definition in the law needs to be looked at again. It needs to be talked about. Inadvertent. There's no such thing as inadvertent, especially in an area like that. It's crazy to believe that there will be no other expectation of finding EV. Okay, so one of the things that came out of this was the need for another archaeologist, one that was separate from Shifty. Shifty has a lot of problems. And we also needed a way of a tool to help us prove what's there. And that came in the shape of the cultural overlay map. We got pretty close. The map was created, but it was never put into service. From what I understand, the county is still working on it. Nobody knows for sure. Okay, I'm hoping they're still, but this is a tool that we can use. Another tool we could have used in this area was a tool that measures desecration. You know, a penalty can only be exacted on desecration if you can prove outrage. How do you prove outrage? How do you measure outrage? There's no tool for it. So when I asked DoCare, Jason from DoCare, what do you folks do if there's no tool? We just make the decision on our own. And I said, what if I had a measuring tool? Could you use it? He says, right now there isn't any, but if you had one, that would be something. So we could use a measuring tool that measures desecration. The problem Don Chang saw with that is that going through the state would be cumbersome, would require a lot of review by the law, right? And would take time. So the idea that this could be something homegrown was much more advantageous to us acquiring a tool, right? So that's what we looked at. I'm gonna skip and go down to the recommendations because it's a long list. Well, right there. Next one, okay. A recognized genealogist, the Ahomoku in Wailuku opted to recognize a credentialed archaeologist. When I say credentialed, she has a degree in genealogy. And all we asked was for the Burial Council to recognize that she is a genealogist that would probably provide the best information. She's Hawaiian, and we're going to utilize her in our work in the Moku. They accepted it and acknowledged it. Number two is a county archaeologist. Finally, in 2020, the county hired Janet Six to be the county archaeologist. Can you go up one more slide? One more slide? Oh yeah, no, one more. Sorry. Did you go too far? Come back down? Down. Well, to me, it would be down. Okay, I'm not sure how it is. It's supposed to be, you know what? Oh, okay, there it is. There she is. She eventually was hired. She is the first archaeologist for Maui. But I believe she is the only county archaeologist. None of the other counties have one. Okay. The cultural overlay map, and she pushed that. There were concerns with the Burial Council that it would be giving too much privileged information, but we were finally persuaded that in today's period, we cannot keep this sacred or secret anymore. Somebody's always going to come around later on, and that knowledge could be lost. So it's best to put it someplace where it can be known. It won't be open fully to the public, but the fact that it will be noted on the map, a version of it makes it available to the Burial Council, people who are looking for genealogy, and for developers, future developers. Kuleana tax exemption. Mahalo for bringing to us the tax exemption idea. We think it's time for an update. They've had enough time, the state, to realize the significance of the Kuleana lands and the Land Commission Award, right? There's no question now that they exist and they existed by law. So why do we still have the TMK on it? You need to remove the TMK from that Land Commission Award. That is its proper identification, its proper name, its legal name, Land Commission Award, not TMK. The other thing is, after realizing the Kuleana existed and have rights, why should we be contracted to the waiver with the state? Why do we have to sign that waiver to acknowledge the exemption? That exemption should come to us simply by notice. Today, when families want to, as we say sometimes, update the ownership or title to their Land Commission awards, they file affidavits of truth or they file declarations. That is no different than what they can do when asking to be recognized that they have the right to not be taxed. So I'm asking for removing the TMK and removing the necessity to tax. I don't know the details, but when this tax exemption thing first came out, not even the real property department had data. How many Kuleana land parcels are there? How many fall into this situation? I think the only one that can have a closer accounting of that, I don't know, the county may be doing something more, would be you folks, because you clarified the genealogy, right? So you might have some idea. And with that, I'm asking for an accounting. I want to know how many Kuleana applications have been approved. Aina Kupuna. This is a designation the County of Maui has come up with. It recognized some of those properties that couldn't gain the Kuleana tax exemption for specific reasons, and now it has afforded this ability to those families. Department of OEV Resources. It had come to the attention of one of our mayors that there may be a necessity to include a separate department to deal with with Hawaiian issues and concerns. And so this mayor took it upon himself, eventually through charter and vote. Maui has the first, Department of OEV Resources. These are all tools that we can use, that we the people can use. Number 8 is the Archaeologist Board of Review. There is no review for archaeologists. We had an archaeology company working in Maui Lani that didn't even have a college degree. She didn't even have a degree. And yet she was working under a principal investigator that had a degree. They figure out all kinds of way around this. And what we need is for a dedicated group to work out all these little details that just trip us up in the burial council, that trip us up when we try to claim our lands or when we try to acknowledge the EV that we have there. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm getting winded with this. There's just so much. You have my presentation. I think I've made the issues clear. I think you know that we need some assistance. But let me suggest this. You, as the OHA board, you sit here with an army of talent behind you to help us. And that's great. But you folks are a bottleneck. You realize that. You're trying to help us, but you can't get that to all of us. Behind me, there are over, 600,000 Hawaiians? What would happen if they became that army? You empowered them, give them the tools to work with. We taught a class in Kauai, and 2 people just went to town with that information. They're fighting for the EV rights, and they're doing it on their own. We don't even have to be there. They call, we talk, but when you give people the tools, our people are smart, and that's what we're finding out. They'll figure it out. You just have to give them something to work with. Okay. Is there any last words? One thing, I didn't want to, this is not by way of judging you, but it made me have to look to see what the world is thinking about what you're doing. And I asked AI, can you tell me what OHA is doing in the last 10 years regarding protecting the EV? And it listed 3 things. 2 of them were related very closely to repatriation. And I understand the necessity for that. But if that's 2/3 of your energy and resources being placed there, what is the other third? It's everything else. I think you're helping. I think you provide some support. I just don't have confidence in all of the plans that you have going forward today. I think you could do more, and I'm hoping that you'll do more. Hono Kahua, that wasn't too long ago. 870 EV were finally reinterred. Maui Lani, there's still not an accurate account, but by our estimations, I'm going by my estimations, Maui Lani is 3,000 plus and still growing. I'd like to say that when our kupuna pass, they always remain a member of our family. Therefore, we cannot forget them like that. They have rights and we have rights. Mahalo. The last 2? You gotta go to the last one. Okay. That's how I feel like all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Trustees, you have any questions? Mahalo. Jocelyn?
How's that? Aloha. My name is Jocelyn Costa. I'm part of the Huipono Ike Kanawai. I signed up to testify, but I think I'll just segue into what Johanna had presented. And I think maybe there is some confusion on how did the TMK fit? It's an identification crisis. When you take us and you create us into something else, then now we struggle to identify ourselves. And all of a sudden, we need to prove who we are through somebody who doesn't even know us. Say like your genealogist, say like your cultural specialist, yeah? And so even the kupuna is up against the person who will then identify if what they're saying is enough. And it should be, there should be no question. Maui is no different from every island that has been struggling to just hold on to their loved ones. The barge that you saw there is not just sand. So when Johanna talks about 3,000 plus, they're on Oahu in your airports. They're on Oahu in your highways. Whenever you pour cement and it came from Maui, you have got the particles of the iwi kupuna that was never screened, never monitored, and shipped off to create your development there. Haleakala Highway, even the prison for Maui, the sands of Maui that contain our iwi kupuna is all around us. And we need to stop and really think about that. I mean, seriously, I'm sitting here, if my jaw could hit the ground when Trustee Lindsay asked, is there any questions? And you guys are all silent. That says a lot. Our mayor had at least created the EV resource department. When we call on OHA, where are you? Dedicating another development, helping to fund some other project? Does it contain sand? From Maui? From Molokai? From Kauai? For Oahu? The titles have to be changed. The title is a Land Commission Award Royal Patent. The description is a TMK, tax map key. But it's opposite. When you go to the courts, they call it a TMK, described as portions of a Land Commission Award. It's not a description, that's the title. How do we have it so backwards? We're talking about your own family. And so when it's backwards like that, and then the families come forward, we don't have a leg in. We have a struggle and a fight. And that shouldn't be. TMK is not a legal description of a title, but the Land Commission Award Royal Patent is, and that will lead us to our kupuna. That will tell us where they are. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. And then we have the newbies coming in that are entitled to their surfing spot, to their golf courses, to their hiking trails, to their doggy parks. And that's where our kupuna are resting. I hope you go home and when you sleep tonight, you visit them and ask them, what do I do? Because right now it's not enough. Mahalo.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I just want to mention that we're currently hiring for an advocacy compliance person, agent for Maui and Molokai, to be based on Maui. So we hear the passion and the problems located in Maui, and our administration and the board has taken action to make sure that somebody's here to either get your reports, help you, report back to us, see how we can help you. You know, not everybody is familiar with this subject matter, and we appreciate you folks coming to us and sharing. And maybe we didn't have questions because we are in awe with the information you're sharing with us this evening. I mean, things like this we may not have heard. So mahalo for educating us. And we will certainly look at the concerns that you shared. And I remember, Johanna, that you did put it in writing to us. And we will be going through it one by one and seeing how we can help contribute to making things better for our EV.
I would be remiss if I don't mention that, you know, besides the struggles that we have, I have this feeling of a great loss that, Trustee, you're not going to be with us much longer. And that is for Maui. I don't need to know more. We're gonna miss you.
Mahalo. Thank you. Do we have anyone else that's speaking or want to speak on?
Yes,
Evie?
yes, we have a few more speakers. Our next speaker is Kaniloa Kamaunu.
Okay, Kaneloa, before you come up, trustee Akaka has a question.
Well, it's more to speak on what was shared with us with the last two speakers. I want you to know we're listening. We're hearing what you're saying. We're taking notes, and we are doing things actively. And we're trying to find ways in which we can, one, advocate, two, be up to date on how we need to go forward with reverence. And I also want you to know that in the background, questions are being asked. I'm asking, can I have a copy of this presentation, a printed copy, to accompany what is shared tonight, so that we can look at what is being done, what has been done thus far, and what we can do and collaborate on that. Like it was mentioned, we have positions that are created and opened to specifically serve the various islands based on what the need are. So us having this opportunity to hear what the need is, we mahalo you all for that. I also want to share as well, in terms of advocacy, what I had mentioned earlier, that is part of our kuleana. So we need to hear what this community needs from us and how we can collaborate together. But we need that kahea from you. And we need suggestions oftentimes on how we can do that in a way that we can within our ability and our means and within the law. So for instance, when it comes to legislative matters at the state capitol or within the various counties or from a federal level, or even just through the community, we need your kako'o on that as well, so we can help one another. I want you to know we're actively looking at this. And I'm thinking maybe in terms of advocacy and us with our constitutional mandate, when it comes to kaumaha matters such as this, we specifically look at what guidelines can include specifically sand, our one hanau, and how oftentimes our one include our kupuna. So maybe that's one way that we can look at it in a modern day approach and tie that into our past. So mahalo for what you're sharing. I want you to know we hear you, but we need your kopua more. Mahalo.
Kaneloa?
No, Mike. Koinoa. Sorry. Wahe. I just gonna give a little timeline because I think a lot of people don't understand the political timeline and why these things are so important and why OHA is involved actually in EV protection. Yeah, so 1839, right, is the first draft of the Bill of Rights for our people. They outlined our chiefs, along with Oikioli, outlined who we are as a people, stating to the world what we believe in and what we are and what we stand for. 1840 becomes the first constitution of the monarchy, the constitutional monarchy. 1843 we become a recognized sovereign country. 1840. Years of 1840, 65, a lot of titles are given to our people. And no other order except for that person that holds the Land Commission Award. So whoever is on the award is the only title holder. The rest, if you were to read the law, states heirs and assigns. The only property owner of those titles is a person who received the land commission award. There are no other owners. So the mistake they are making is calling us as owners doesn't make us Native Hawaiians or United States citizens. Only have the right to enjoy what are, you know, there is a law. This means that our people are smart enough, love our people, whether they were here or not, to protect their land rights. They created the 1860 law, the Act of the Protection of Places of Sepulture, being acted by the king, the nobles, representatives, Hawaiian Islands, and Legislative Council assembled. If any person not having any legal right to do so shall willfully dig up, disinter, remove, or convey any human body from any burial place. So they distinguish the person is the burial place. So there should be no misunderstanding, even though SHPD and the county and the councils cannot commit to what a burial site. Burial place and is protected, or shall knowingly aid in such a disinterment, removal, any conveying away, every such offender and every person accessory to thereto, either before or after the fact, shall be punished by imprisonment and hard labor for not more than 2 years, or fine not exceeding $1,000. This is 1860. This is a legislative act that was given to our people who lay in the sand. So when you're digging them up, you're taking away their right, their legislative right to be there. It's not because we think they should be there. It was stated that they should be there. And the person that touches them must show by proof that they have the authority to take such action. And the thing is, it's everybody that decided, from the time they decided to go there and develop to the time the person was removed, every single person, every single department, every single agency is responsible. This is what the law is. 1893 comes the piracy of the United States. They did not come here as a legal entity. They came here and they practiced piracy. They came off their boats, they landed their military, and they went after our people and they took our queen without our consent. So they did not practice military. And I challenge you to go find any military document that states that there was, that the overthrow or the landing of those military entities was legal. Because according to Cleveland, he condemned it. As far as I know. We sent a letter, there was a friend of mine that sent a letter to the archives, the National Archives, to find out whether or not there was an annexation treaty between the United States and Bhutan. According to the archives, no such document exists. So there is no annexation treaty between Hawaii and Taiwan or the United States. Only two annexation bills that exist. Annexation bills that exist for the Republic of Hawaii and the provisional government, which is never ratified in Congress. Because the actual people that need to be on the treaty to have it operate, that was us. So as we get to you, okay, so in 1959, the Admissions Act, and this is important for everybody to understand. Subsection 19 states that they could not confer United States citizenship on anyone. They couldn't take it away, they couldn't pronounce it, or they couldn't restore it. So that act, the Admissions Act, did not confer United States citizenship on us. So what does that mean? Okay, according to the 1970, I think it's 1970, which creates OHA, right? The Constitution. Your responsibility, according to the law, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs is a state agency in Hawaii with the primary responsibility of improving the well-being, and I reject Native Hawaiians because I'm not a Native Hawaiian. I'm not a United States citizen. I am a Kanaka Maui. OHA achieves this through advocacy, research, community engagement, land management, and funding community programs. It acts as an advocate, monitors policies, and works to secure funding, implement policies that benefit Hawaiians in areas like education, health, housing, economic development. Here are more details: advocacy, policy influence, policy monitoring. So all these things you guys are responsible for. If you were to look at the act for SHPD, who are the entities that get called when EV is found? The first one, of course, MPD, along with supposedly forensic pathologists and OHA. OHA is on there. You're responsible for what happens to that EV. You know, for years, we started this in the early 2000s, advocacy for EV Kupuna. We stood there alone many times. You know how heartbreaking it is to watch him dig your people up and look for help and nobody's there. Only us. Only us. We've been to so many places, not only right here on Maui, but other places we've been to. Where is the help that we're supposed to get? Our people get one active legislative act. And if they couldn't confer United States citizenship on us, they couldn't do it to them. So the EV does not belong to the United States. The rights given to them in 1860 is still their right. And yet each and every day, somewhere in the Pai'aina, they're digging up our bodies. And we have to go there and we have to be subjected to prove that they have the right to stay there. We go in front of all these people, and you know what they want to come? Oh, we want to talk to you about how we can mitigate to move the EV. I sorry about the way I look. I've been in bed for the last 2 months. give you my butt. We come to the EV. I'm gonna stand off. I get EV all over my place. They talk to me all the time. This is heartbreaking. How many years? Over 20 years already. Over 20 years, and they still getting away with them. And they call us criminals because we come and we trespass. I have to fight with the cops. They arrest us. But we the ones, right? Who gonna speak for them? So we ask you, what is your duties? It's frightening to understand that people don't look. Every council I go to, I gotta remind them, what is your duties? Now, I'm not coming at just individuals. This is what OHA was built for. And you just happen to be in that seat. Love Auntie Hulu, she always supports us. So I'm not gonna let that go like she does. But we need the action. We need action because, Maui Lani, over 3,000. You go down to Grand Wailea, they don't even know. The records go back 1970 something. They have no idea where all the bodies went. We hire our own lawyers out of our own pocket. Luckily, the lawyers good enough to give us to take it on pro bono. But we stand there by ourselves. Well, this agency who was created to support us is not there. So I got out of my sick bed for being here today. We need help. Just look at what went on with Kauai. It's heartbreaking. They stepped all over the EV. I was there. It's just strewn all over the place. Mahalo, sir.
Mahalo Kamilua.
Our next speaker is Carol Lee, Kamekona. Carol Lee.
Aloha no trustees, Kapuana, mahalo nui, and Velina Mai for taking time out of your evening to be here with us, and also to Mayor. Mahalo for him also for being here. Mahalo to Hui Pono Ike Ke Kanawai for bringing forward our issues with the desecration of our iwi kupuna and the kanawai, because it's an issue that needs to be brought forward, and everybody, Kanaka Maoli and non-Kanaka Maoli, need to know what is happening with our iwi kupuna. My name is Carol Lee Kamikona. And as the mayor mentioned in his speech, Maui is in a housing emergency, exacerbated even more from the fires that happened in 2023. He also mentioned Bill 9, which is the STR bill that is coming up before County Council on Monday. This all has to do with our housing emergency. The reason I bring this up is because currently there are 6,500 luxury homes that are coming up for development in the South Maui area alone. This development isn't for us.
It's not for our people, it's not for our residents, and it's not for us to stay home in our own homeland. It's for part-time investors to come, maybe 1 or 2 months out of a year. So yes, we need help from you to see how we can help keep our people here. I went through the grueling process of being a recognized cultural descendant of the State Historic Preservation Division for the Honua'ula Ahupua'a. As a board member of 3 different nonprofits whose advocacy for the protection of our iwi kupuna are currently in approximately 5 different contested cases with developers for those 6,500 luxury homes that are being built. I'm not blaming this board, but I will tell you, the OHA Board of Trustees that were sitting in 1988 during the construction of the Grand Wailea Hotel signed a memo of understanding to desecrate and disinter our iwi kupuna. That board said, yes, go ahead, dig them up and move them. That's one of the contested cases we're in. We're also in the Wailea 670 case, the H2 case with Everett Dowling, the ATC McKenna case, the lead core case, and what's coming up soon is the Wailea Golf Course. All these luxury developments need to stop. So I'm asking, what can you do to help us? As Connie said, we're out here on our own, out of our own pockets, paying lawyers' fees, travel, to do the work that we believe you should be helping us do. So mahalo. Mahalo for listening.
Mahalo, Carol.
Our next speaker is Robert Kanuha. Robert.
Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
My name is Bobby Kanua, and also my mother is a Nakoa. And we're gonna come back to this EV thing, okay? 1997, I thank the good Lord, I was able to open up the Kolawe job. So that's how I learned the whole culture manata, the EV and everything. So the thing was, it was whatever is on Kolawe, Schofield, Poakaloa, Makanaloa, on Molokai. The thing is, you're gonna come across EV. It's describing between animal and human. And what I've learned is some of these guys, like we're talking about the Walmart on Oahu, on Oahu, they actually had bones and shoved them all in a trailer. So when you find bones on federal installation, you gotta stop the job. That's the law. You stop the job. The thing about is having, I guess, the guts to speak up. See, that was the key. Some guys didn't have the guts to speak up. See, I've seen a lot of places where, and now, 50 years ago, I worked for Emerald AC&D back in the 70s, and all the sand was coming from Molokai, the big gigantic box. So now they're gonna hit all the sand dunes now. So one thing about the EV and unexploded ordnance, they're all tedious work. So when you bring in a bucket, you have to go slow. Real slow. It's tedious work. You know, it's like grabbing sand, throw the sand in the bushes. Now I gotta go find all the beads of sand. Tedious work, real slow. On your knees is all day long. So the thing is about the EV, and we also have EV on our family land out in Kaupo, yeah. My dad has land in Kaupo, my Maka 37. My neighbors is people like Firestone, Jimmy Haynes, you know, Spalding, you know, all these people, that's all my neighbors. And not only that, the illegal water diversion, so we register our water. So now it's like me tapping in on bottled water. So that's what they're doing out there to our land. But everything is, we still gotta come a lawyer. So getting back to the bones, and God bless Cousin Les, Kulo lawyer, God bless him. He was on a borough council. So the thing is, the EVs, they fighting the money. You know what I'm saying? Fighting the money. It makes sense, right? If I get on big development, I find bones. The developer is like that. Hey, how's it? You think we can slide the thing? We can hide them? So even like on Schofield or Bacolod, my suggestion is the EV, put them on this land, but we put them over there. If it's over here in the area, so but it's still in the area, and that's the best you can do, is to, with full respect, the whole ceremonial, with all respect. And that's what it is. Gotta have respect. If not, we're not gonna solve them. Like this, all this, we gotta speak the truth. If we're not doing the truth, we're not gonna solve nothing. I swear, we're not gonna do the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm gonna say is, yes, the EV, and Keone up on a big island, Alvarez, about the cave, his family, that whole thing, that whole about the EV, and I believe that boy even pushed it, and I know his dad. So everything is about how would you want, and over here, all this Safeway, they had to have fine planted bones. They had to. They had to, because you know why? They're gonna do this. They're gonna hire them. They're gonna hire them, because you know why? It's about the money. You know, like, because I getting frustrated. I know you guys doing you guys best, but I cannot find no place or stay in the history way back. I don't can find no information about OR way back then. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an entity that was created. And hey, you guys just doing you guys best, but we need a lot of help. Because Maui, the county is a real unique county. It's a trial hour county. You know what I'm saying? What is this 9 island and we forget about Kolawe? You know what I'm saying? We got a 9 island, but nobody care about Kolawe. I love Kolawe. I did on 97, 7 years. I worked on it in April 2004. They shut them down. Last bird off the island. Akioava, Honakanaya, Hakio, LZ1, 2, 3, the whole thing. And I had a lot of guys, that Kolawe project was because of the Molokai people. That's why we put them job. Thinking we were gonna put them on a bus, we were gonna do it was like an oil rig operation. So the whole thing was right at MTO was down in the heliport down there. Blue Hawaiian was financing everything. Tom Hoffman, Pacific Helicopter, he did the whole thing. By the time you know it, 8:30 in the morning, you get 400 people on Kolawe. No accident, only the Huey went crashed. Gary Freeman, he was driving a Huey. Long and I got started on the rotor, and he killed. I was the only person killed besides the crusher for all the explosive. There's cutting them, you know. We did, and this whole thing hazard, it's an emergency management 24/7. 24/7. Oh, Happy Valley, go all the way to Way School, Kakaloa, that whole corridor. I scared because I gotta grab my grandkids. I tell our principal, you can guarantee that you're going to evacuate my grandchildren? You cannot guarantee me. I know I'm going to call you a liar because you cannot. Just be honest. We'll try. Yes, I can accept it. But if you tell it straight to my face, then I gonna get upset because over here I gonna come sore. Then I gonna get all these crazy ideas, which is, I know that's not the way. So like everybody speaking over here, Lahaina, Aston, it was a fire, it wasn't an explosion. US EPA, the Spanish guy, he called it a UXO job because of the lithium batteries. Black, so now it's in a different orientation. So lithium battery, high explosive. So how you gonna find them in a different orientation? It's like looking for squid. You gotta get the eye. You get the eye, the whole thing. The whole porkalaw, the whole thing. Cut porkalaw. Stop them already. Makua, we're going to say clean them. Morokai, north side, defines more rubbish at the dump. You know what I mean? All this whole thing it's tedious work, just like looking for EV. Same concept, gotta go real slow. Hey, hurry up. We're running out of money. You know what I'm saying? We're running out of money. Hey, we gotta hurry up. 12-hour days, you eating dust, sand, everything. Attitudes, people from all over the world, from France, from Great Britain, Canada, all these guys work on Puerto Lavi. So now they're coming in, these people. So I tell them, I'm general, I'm captain, I'm pilot. We're all even now. We're all same, one people. The human race, one. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, Brother Jerry, in Hakuawa, Michigan, you get George Helm, they're all over there, North Trail, South Trail, that whole place. I know that whole island is square by square because I haven't closed them out. I thank the good Lord, my boss was one geologist. I mean, can I get better than that?
Thank you.
I work with all the archaeologists and everybody. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, we gotta take our EV. Lahaina was just on fire. It wasn't a nuclear blast, radioactive material. It was a fire. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Explosive fire. I asked the fire department, have in any of your training, they will teach you guys play with high explosive? Oh, no, uncle. I don't know what to say.
Mahalo,
I don't know what to say.
mahalo.
You know what I'm saying? So
Thank you.
other than that, we need a lot of help, and all our people, you guys heard what they said, because it's even more passionate, because right now, I gotta keep myself together. With all these things going on and everything going, all we gotta do is, we gotta go by the truth. If we go by the truth, will set us all free. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that want to offer community concerns? Okay.
So the first speaker for community concerns is Joycelyn Costa.
List. I want to know how many people.
So I didn't speak to it directly, but I will speak to it directly to you folks. I'm working currently with the County of Maui, OEV Resource Department, State Historic Preservation. I have a phone call into Don Chang. I spoke to, I'm also working with MPD, Maui Highways Division, Parks and Recreation. I might be leaving out some of the agencies, but I represent Ahamoku. And in my area, there is a beach, there is a small little cove. And even if you look left and you look right, it's got the same issues, but this one is a cove that is really not a park. You have to run across a busy highway to jump over a guardrail, to walk down a clay area and then jump off the ledge to get onto the sand, where a lot of the privileged windsurfers like to launch their equipment, because to them it's the best place in the world. And this place is known to that community as Bones Beach. It's Hamakua Pokokai, where our iwi kupuna lie. And when I was working with the mayor's office as well as the OEB Resource Committee, Park said, okay, let's close up the beach temporarily. Everybody was freaking out temporarily until we can figure out what we're gonna do. They made signs, beach is closed, no trespassing, cannot come in, take out the sand or anything, because when it was exposed, there were things that you cannot pick up off that beach. And you wouldn't know it. You would think you could. Well, they took it upon themselves, and the Highways Division put up a blockade so they couldn't park. And they took their truck and pushed the blockade so that they can still put their trucks there. If you drive towards Ho'okipa, you'll see this big blockade and you wonder, how come it's all pushed inwards? They took it upon themselves with a big truck and they moved it twice. Because we don't have inventory of concrete to put barriers to stop that. So they put up 4 signs along the perimeter, and they decided that they were gonna unbolt and take away the signs themselves, these privileged people. And so I called MPD, I called DoCare, I called DLNR, and they all don't know what to do. It's private property, it's high water mark. It's not our jurisdiction. I don't know how to identify. That's the whole gamut. But I will sit there in my Sunday's best and educate people as they come to park and let them know the beach is closed. My iwikupuna is laying to rest, and I'm working with the county. And then they drive off. Some nice, some not so nice. But there's nobody else, county, state, nobody that will do the same. They cannot, they're busy. So they just put up the signs, they put up the barricades. I call them up. That's what happens. I myself cannot be there 24/7. I pointed out to the county that where they took the signs, the base part is still in there. So it's about yee-high metal sticking out of the grass, that if anybody was to fall on it, they could die. And I didn't know you guys went around the island. I wish I could take you to that beach. And it's true how dangerous it is to run across the street. People will bring their dogs so they can walk on the beach. They have their babies running around and picking up stuff off the beach, and you don't know what they might come running up to their mom with. Could be a femur. We don't know. So the county needs help. The state needs help. If somebody can call Don Chang for me. I told the office, I am not merely calling to follow up to get a return call. Each time I call you is because I drove by the beach and desecration is witnessing desecration. The beach is closed, nobody knows because they stole all the signs. And they don't care. Not everybody. The community cares. The older surfing community is in support. We're starting to plan a community meeting to advocate. And the windsurfing community is the one that's really in the uproar, and they want that beach back. So if you guys can assist me and help me with this advocacy for this. The one thing look left and look right. You've got good beaches on both sides, just not here. It's mind-blowing. So I need your help.
Thank you,
Mahalo.
Justin. Mahalo. Kyomoku?
Just a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. Aloha, aloha again. For us in Komohana on the west side, we've been struggling with the issue pertaining to water. Finding out that the community developer only had 23% of the water. 77 of the percent of that was from private purveyors. I think we gotta start thinking of ways on how we need to hold that, because our community really needs the water now. When we start talking about mitigations on fire, water is always the equation. So that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up. Why? Because, I mahalo OHA's support of the A'o Aku A'o Mai initiative with Kahuliau, which has enabled the Native Hawaiian Rights Clinic to continue to provide direct legal services to Naikani o Maui, us. Because we're right in the process of doing the water use permit application to figure out ways on how we can do the feasibility study for Mokohinia Pond. There's also other adjoining areas of the wetland that we're looking at, but we cannot go too fast in this. The governor says, let's bring back Moko'ula. County also says, let's bring back Moko'ula. I think the practitioners that are deeply rooted in that area says, yeah, we need to bring it back, but we need to go slow. We can't just go inside and start digging things up. Next thing you know, to find out that the fill that was used to bury that pond in 1917 probably came from an area that is very heavily populated with iwi kupuna as well. So I really appreciate the work that Kahuliau has been doing for a lot of our community, well enough the Kuleanas from Komohana, all the way from Honokohau Valley, all the way to Olowalu. Our valley, specifically Kaula, draws pretty close to 9 million gallons of water a day. Doing the feasibility study to make sure that a lot of the water that comes from two valleys, Kahoma and Kau'ula, goes down right directly into the town under a course system. We've seen those things come alive, especially now that a lot of the commercial wells that have burnt, we see that the water is reclaiming itself. So I really, really appreciate OHA's long commitment of making sure that Kahuliau is there for the benefit of our Kuleanas. They've been doing a wonderful work, a lot of work. It's also appreciating to be working side by side with a lot of the young attorneys. Yeah. I'm encouraging my grandkids that they gotta go in that direction too, in order for us to make sure that we can paint better pictures to make sure that our younger generations do something that'll be viable for our lahui. So mahalo OHA. One last request, the culture corridor of Moku'ula, Mokohinia, Kamehameha Third School, Pakala, which is the home of Hui o Va'akaulua. Throughout the whole culture corridor, we're requesting for fencing to be put up. Reasons why is because we have a lot of trespassers, a lot of them are tourists that are now coming into our town and just getting belligerent all over the place. They're crossing over the area where we put the burial crypt, area that they don't belong. We sent a letter to the county of Maui requesting for more fencing to be provided in the areas as well as signage. Huge signage that talks about a code of conduct in areas to make sure that we keep people at bay, that they're not going maha'oi all around the place. That's happening right now. Our job kind of went tenfold now that the security is no longer there to provide any assistance for us. Naikani o Maui is on the field every day trying to make sure we can alleviate those problems of all these tourists coming into town. And it's a liability issue. There was one tourist family went into the banyan tree. Next thing you know, they fell down, hit their head, and the first thing they did was call the attorney. And despite of all the signs that is evident all over the place that our town is not safe, we shouldn't be going in there yet. And I think that I guarantee that through OHA's help, we can really put something together to make sure that our town is protected before the rebuild. What's going to be even way more hard is when the contractors start working in there on the residential as well as the commercial side. We don't need people being maha'oi in that area. So I'm asking for your strong support. I'll send you letters. I'll send you what we sent to the county of Maui. Yeah, so you guys know exactly what's happening on behalf of the two nonprofits, Native Hawaiian nonprofit organizations for Lahaina. So mahalo for your time. Mahalo for you guys' work. Thank you.
Okay, we'll look forward to your copies of your letters. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll send that right away. Thank you.
Hui?
Oh my God, I just draw a blank. But on that note, I just wanted to share that we've asked the county to put something on the airplanes about Lahaina to stay away for the tourists, because they're coming. No matter what, they're coming. But we wanted to at least explain, put an explanation out there on the reasons why they should be away from Lahaina until everybody's done. Maybe you folks can do it or do something in that area. Even about our iwi kupuna on our beaches. There's a lot of beaches that have been, that we found iwi kupuna here on Maui. There's a lot of areas that have been uncovered during the process of us cleaning Lahaina. So we just want to take precautions and share something on the airplanes or through Hawaii tourism or something like that to make them aware of how significant our town is, but that people need peace right now. They need to recover. There's a lot of them that are still in their homes and they don't want to come out. They don't want to be social. It's trauma. It's a lot of trauma that our Lahaina people are going through. And we've been trying to figure out ways to help them, but people heal in different ways, right? So we try to be compassionate, and in that way, we can be compassionate to let tourism know to stay away for a little while. So mahalo.
Mahalo, Ui. Lauren Palakiko?
Aloha, Chair Kahele, trustees, staff, and ohana. Velina mai. Welcome to Maui and mahalo for taking the time to come here and join us tonight. My name is Lauren Palakiko, and I am blessed and privileged to live in Kauaula Valley on Aina Kuleana. My husband Charlie is a kalo farmer, and for over 20 years, our family has been deeply engaged in protecting our vai in Maui Komohana, especially in Kauaula. I'm here tonight to say mahalo piha. So many of us on Maui are grateful for your support of the A'oahu A'omai initiative, which enables Kahuliao Center for Excellence in Native Hawaiian Law at UH Manoa's Richardson School of Law to provide free, direct legal services to your beneficiaries on Maui, like our ohana. The Native Hawaiian Rights Clinic has been supporting us for years in our struggle for vai and vai. The professors, students, and fellows have been our legal translators and navigators so that we can better understand and participate in the many complex legal processes that we must engage with for our vai. The clinic's support and aloha has meant so much to our ohana. It has given us the resources and confidence to holomoa, and I know that they have supported many, many other families across our community. It would have been incredibly difficult for us to meaningfully participate in our designation in water use permitting without the clinic, especially after the tragic fires in 2023. We wanted to make sure that you know how much of a difference your support has made in our lives, the lives of your beneficiaries. We also wanted to let you know that we're not PAO yet. We still have a long way to go. The Water Commission hasn't even processed our water use permit yet. And in April 2025, the meeting they held in Lahaina, the commission staff were unable to tell us how long the process would take, although that we understand it took over a decade for Navai Eha. So mahalo nui, and please continue to support the A'oaku Mai initiative and Kahuliao so that this important legal and cultural resource will continue to be available for our community. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo. That concludes our last persons offering their concerns.
We have one more
Did I
speaker.
miss anyone?
Yes, we have one more speaker. Kaniloa.
Real quick, the ones I put down was, there's a area you visited today. They call it Pai Loco.
Yes.
That is incorrect. Okay, the area is Pe Loco. Pe Loco means a hidden place. So the story that is told by my family for generations is that in that area was a pond. And in that pond there was an island. And on that island would be the Mo'owahine. So there are lava tubes that actually come from the ocean that come up into that area, because it actually was a freshwater spring. But they would see her on the island. So Pe Loco is the hidden place. That is the actual name. Pai Loco comes from a story of Maui when he comes to Hawaii to gather the Pai Loco to make the cordage when he battles with the sun.
That's the
So
story.
those are two different. So, but the area in the LCA is under Pe Loco. So it's actually the legal name of the area. I know I've been kind of battling with them for years about the area, but so that area is Pe Loco, just to let you know. I think they call themselves Pai Loco. That's what they told me anyway. So, but according to the LCA, it is Pe Loco.
Is it just the pronunciation because it's the same spelling?
Yeah, so when Spalding went to do his travel around the islands. So if you look in his book, he spells Pe Loco. And then in parentheses, he has Pai Loco. So for him as a haole, didn't know what was the correct spelling, because he had no idea of what this. So, but original, when you go into the Land Commission Award, Land Commission Award is Pe Loco. And that's where that pond, so if you look over there, you're on pond that is over there. And it's supposed to have the island, I don't know but years ago when it was doing the plantation, they cover them up. And then the other one was the water concern. We have a housing that they're planning to do on Maui. So I think there's 900 luxury homes coming in right there. That's what that's my controversy. So if we read actually a USGA study on the waterlands for Maui in 2010, their recollection or their back then when they talked about it, the thing of the lens. So according to the county of Maui, unlike Honolulu or Oahu, where they actually have their aquifer has a wall that retains the water, Maui doesn't have that. So according to the county of Maui, the water runs right underneath the island. Right, so it goes out back into the ocean. So we have limited resources. So the thing is and my thing to the county of Maui is, and I've asked them for this for years, which nobody talks about, is actually to be able to restore. What is that word they use? See, before with all the cane fields, the water would go back down into the aquifer but today, with the introduction of pavement, cement, yards, the water can't get back down. Recharge. Okay, so the natural and artificial recharge is being lost. So every time you see the water actually on the road and it just disappears, that should concern you. Because that means that's less water that got down to the aquifer. And with the way that the Maui County actually use the water during the drought, because all they do is a fine. Maui County does not go out and does not shut them down. So you can go during the drought and it's going to come up again in July because we didn't have any rainfall. Our rainfall is usually from October to March. And I think on one hand, you can count the days that we had rainfall. So it's going to be a drought again in July. It's going to come again. But then you drive around town, especially when you go out to all hotels, they're using the water every day. Kahumanu, and I reported this to the county. I reported to the county council. That's who we're supposed to go to. You shoot water all over here. That's all drinkable, potable water. And they tell us that water is life, but yet the waste of the water. Now, by right, the only people with water rights that actually have pala is Kanakamaule. We never gave water rights to the United States. You can check that out. But the thing is, the misuse of it. There is water for people, but not the way that they use it. And it should be a concern because these guys, I remember going down to Wailea when it was, I was going out to Kihei, South Kihei, when they were redoing the old Maui Lu, I think.
Yeah.
24 hours the water was running. 24 hours. I went down there about 8 o'clock at night. I came back in that evening, it was still running. So this is a misappropriation of our finite resource. And if we don't ask them how they're going to recharge, and we allow this to happen, and we allow all this development, then we're going to lose the water. Because all we get right now is what comes into the river. But we're not concerned about the weather itself, whether it's raining or not. That just cuts down on what water we have. And when you see the water running on the road, that should be a concern. Because that means we'll never see that water again. And you're talking about millions of gallons. Because they just approached us a couple of years ago about 2 more million gallons from Waihe'e. And that's because they said, oh, you guys had overage, supposed to be 14, I think 10 million gallons in the Waihe'e River. So I told him, I said, you know, Waihe'e River is already at a deficit. I grew up by the river. I know what they look like. And you guys want to take, you guys say, oh, we got 12 million, so we can take that 2 million because it was extra. See, this is the kind of stuff that gotta be taken care of because otherwise we're gonna leave this island whether we want to or not. Because there ain't gonna be any water. Okay. Mahalo.
Thank you. Anybody else before we close for the evening? We do have a Board of Trustees meeting, our annual meeting tomorrow morning, right here at 9 a.m. We invite you all to come and join us. And if there's no other business tonight, I'd like to entertain Trustee Akaka.
Mahalo, Chair Emerita. I'm trying to find words in which to say this. It has been brought to my attention within the last couple to few minutes of our OHA trustee of Hawaii Island, Anakala Bob Lindsay. And in trying to confirm of the nature of what has recently transpired, if we can offer aloha and pule to him and his ohana and mahalo him for his many years of service to our people. But it has been brought to my attention that the news of his time with us has drawn near. And I just want to say mahalo to Anakala Bob Lindsay and acknowledge all his good work and contributions for Hawaii and beyond. And give our sincere aloha to his ohana, to his team over the years, to those that he has worked with. Mahalo.
Trustees, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa.
Aye.
Trustee Galutaria is excused. Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza is excused. Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kaikahele.
Aye.